building concrete estimate. And now add unit costs. This is our first attempt at production. This is what I would consider a production estimate. So this is as if you are a subcontractor, self-performing the work with your actual labor costs and material costs and equipment costs broken out. So kind of bumping up the level of difficulty a little bit. And this is about as far into detailed estimating as we'll go in this class, this level. So this is an important part to understand. The production rate as an estimator, as someone that wants to be a competitive estimator that can consistently be a low bidder without leaving money on the table. This column right here is what you should be focused on as an estimator, and it's what your operations team should be focused on as operators, getting these numbers to be as productive as possible, but not being overly ambitious so that you lose money on jobs. So in the end, right, labor hours are what drive your cost. I mean, you're gonna buy concrete for the same price as your competitors, give or take 8% maybe. If you pay your bills early, you're paying the same price. Nabholz is paying the same price per cubic yard as Kenco, is paying the same price as Bass, which is paying the same price as Nabholz. We're all paying the same price on materials. There are not huge advantages. Where there's an advantage is either in your labor rate or in your production rate. And your labor rate, honestly, is probably going to be pretty uniform across the board unless you're using illegal work, undocumented work, which nobody, in my industry or no one that I come across is actually doing that. In residential worlds, I know, undocumented. I mean, to be honest, it's not to say it doesn't exist in the industry, but you're all pretty much paying the same price. So this is where you compete. Not here, not here. It's right here in your production rate. So I want to just drive that point home.
Immediately.
So let's do a little math here. For our labor total, when you know how many hours our layout's going to cost. So I came up with 40 spread footings. Anybody came up with something different? Tell me. I came up with 40. I'm saying one person can lay out 2 in an hour. So if I have 40 spread footings, how many hours of labor are going to go into that? 20, because I'm dividing by 2 my production rate. Drive that into your head. That's how this works, 20 hours. And what's great about this is not me as the estimator, because I'm in a good mood today. I think you can lay out 4 in an hour. And then next week I come in and I'm pissed off at the world, and I think you can only do 2 in an hour. I'm not guessing at it. That's my company standard. I've agreed with our production team. This is what I expect. This is what we expect. This is what you've done in the past. And every estimate I ever produce is going to have these production rates. And so if we lose money on labor on a job, it's not my fault. Unless you can show me that I missed quantity or that I fat fingered the production rate, you guys produced at a slower rate. And if we make extra money, again, it's not that I'm a genius as an estimator. The guys in the field earned it. It was a bunch of sunny days in a row and everything went really well. They had a bunch of rain days and they lost production. So standard production rates make estimating easy. Okay. All right, so you guys should be plugging in the math under hours, and then I'm adding this little bit here, formula. It's called if error. So you're typing in one word, if error, open parentheses, and then you're just taking your quantity and dividing by your production rate, comma 0, close parentheses. And so I'm going to remove the if error so you guys can see what it looks like, because you'll run into it a lot in estimating. So it's equal to, I'm going to take this, I'm going to divide it by my production rate. Okay, so that looks great. But what if I had 0 quantity, which is common? Well, let me fix that. If I had a 0 production rate, then you get this. And now your total's broken too. So you don't want that. So what you're saying is if there's an error that's generated because you divided by 0. Just tell me 0 and don't break my whole Excel formula. So the answer is comma 0 close parentheses. To further drive the point home, instead of telling me 0, let's say I wanted to say true. Now it says true. If I wanted to say Kenco, it'll spit out Kenco. But I'm just going to tell it to tell me 0 when there's an error. Very useful formula you'll use a lot in estimating, because a lot of times you're going to have a 0 production rate. You're going to type in a 0 production rate. You're not going to want to guess at something, whatever, and you don't want to break your whole formula all the time because of errors, because you can't divide by 0. Okay, so production rates, once you pull these formulas down, the production rates are shown. You guys can just type those in. And we're figuring in this class $37.50 per hour is our complete labor rate. And the way I do that is I'll run a report, every 6 months or so of like all our craft labor for the concrete crew. Just give me every single hour they work, whatever it is, 100,000 hours, and how much did we pay them? And I take how much we paid all of them, divided by the total number of hours worked, and that's my average rate. And I type it right into Excel. That's it. So I'm not sitting down and coming up with like a really detailed crew analysis of I've got this guy and this guy, and let me think about who I'm going to put on this project. Life's too short for that. I'm cranking out too many estimates. I come up with my average hourly rate, and that's what I plug in my estimate. And if operations comes by, William comes by and says, you didn't have enough money, and it was because of the hourly rate, I had enough hours but not enough money, I'm just going to arbitrarily pump it up a couple dollars until he stops coming by my office. And that kind of is estimating. Like, it's the number, no one's complaining about the estimate, great, don't change anything. As soon as someone comes by your office and says, hey, you shorted it a little bit, bump up whatever you shorted. That's it. Okay, material rates, very straightforward. Just type in the amounts I'm giving you and your material rate will calculate. Same thing with equipment, and then you'll get totals. So y'all plug those in, and we're going to move on to the next element of the estimate.
How did you get your layout for the continuous footing? Was it in each, or did you do your linear
it should
footage?
be linear footage.
Okay.
And just for clarity's sake, I'm not calculating things like sales tax and labor burdens. That's elements that we will eventually add into our estimate, but to keep things straightforward, we're just kind of keeping these to be nice, simple costs that essentially are assuming taxes are already included in the pricing. Somehow you actually do it, but I don't want to bite off more than we can chew as a class at once. But eventually you'll add columns to break out taxes. Give it a few more minutes and we'll move on. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so next up are going to be our pedestals. Again, just so everybody can see it, this is a legend, foundation legend, where they've called out everything you need to know. We're taking off pedestals, so that is this number right here, this identifier right here, which is a P0, indicates pedestal C schedule. Our schedule is the same place as the others, so we've got P1 through 5. You can go through and just identify them. And so something as clean as this project, I wouldn't blame you if you created a new condition, called it count. Still P1 still okay. Okay, so I've got a pedestal type for each of the 5, and now you just go through and count. Say 1, 2, 3, Give you all a few minutes to get that finished. Okay, so you've taken off the pedestals, now need to calculate form area, volume of concrete. So, okay, so this is a pedestal section, the section has pedestal. So this is your pad footing that you've already taken off. And this is the pedestal. So the pedestal's function is to kind of push the structural steel up to roughly the elevation of your slab, get the steel out from being below ground. You don't want steel so much being underground where it's going to get exposed to moisture and rust and whatnot. So that's what it's doing, is it's just kind of pushing the foundation up just immediately underneath the column. So here we go. Take off the pedestals. Okay, we're gonna plug in our quantities. I came up with six, 4, 8, 12, and 2. Unit of measures of each. So I've got 10 inches, my pedestal one is 10 inches in one direction. Now I'm gonna get out of inches as soon as possible, so 10 divided by 12. And the
next one is also equal to 10 divided by 12. This one's 1. This is equal to
1 foot 4 is what, 16 inches? So 16 divided by 12. And the last one, P5, is 2 feet. Length is a 1, 1.5, 1.5, 1.33, and 1.33. And height is going to be from your top of footing, which should be 2 feet across the board, but 4, maybe 1. Check on what these are. I'm going to put my P4s at 6 feet and 6 feet. Alright, and then I'm going to calculate forms and concrete. Alright, so our formwork is the surface area of the exterior of the concrete times the quantity. So always lead with quantity times, let's see, the perimeter, which would be that plus this times its height. Down. So everybody follow me on how to calculate formwork. Steve. I do want to make sure y'all aren't just following formulas. I mean, I do understand just typing in the formulas, but understand that to pour, you know, a nice neat concrete box before, right, on your spread footings and your continuous footings, you just dug a hole and you poured concrete into the hole because the earth itself, the dirt itself, was acting as your formwork. It was containing your concrete for you. That's the cheapest way to do it. But here, you're having to create a nice, neat little, you know, 1 foot by 1 foot roughly box going straight up. So that's going to require formwork. So you have to create the box that you pour concrete into. So you're calculating the surface area of the 4 sides of your box. Give that a minute for everybody to get their formulas typed in, and we're going to move on to calculating the volume of the concrete to fill the box. Okay, so now we need to calculate the volume of the concrete. So I always lead with quantity of what I actually took off. If you do that consistently, it makes it much more intuitive when you read through your formulas. That the quantities, that's that variable that you're changing with your takeoff. Okay, so that's height, width, and length. So this one times that one. There we go. So how many pedestals do I have times its width, times its length, times its height? That gives me cubic feet of concrete. And then you do have to actually finish the top of your pedestals. It's kind of a minor thing, but to be consistent, we're going to go ahead and calculate it. So that is your quantity times your width times your length.
Quantity times width times what?
length. So it's the surface area of the top of your pedestal that you actually will have to finish. Because you will be setting a column directly on top of that concrete, and it does need to be nice and smooth to accept it. Alright, and so we're just gonna total up, and I like to hit this nice little shortcut you'll use a lot. Alt equals underneath whatever I want to total up. So that's just summing whatever's above it. Alt equals. Copy my continuous footings, paste it. Then I just zero everything out. It still is. Zero out my production rates, my material costs, and my equipment costs. That leaves all your formulas intact. Okay, layout will be in terms of each, so I'm just gonna go over here and connect it to that. So I've got 32 pedestals. There's no excavation. Concrete, come over up, I need to add line item formwork, we haven't had that before. Formwork, and that's in square feet, that's surface area. So formwork is equal to this over here, forms. Concrete is equal to concrete. Placing concrete is equal to concrete. Finished concrete is equal to finish. Are there any questions on pedestals before we move on?
This is like a ton of knowledge. That's cool.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Ah, good catch. Good job.
Like 200 yards, like holy
Yeah,
crap.
sorry. Forgot to divide by 27. There we go. Good job. Thank you. Okay, any questions, any other questions on pedestals? Alright, let's keep going. Let me find this section here real quick. 3 on 302. Thanks to this sheet. 302. Alright, 3. Okay, so you've calculated your spread footing and your pad footing. You've picked up your pedestals where they show up underneath columns. So next up is this little chunk of concrete here, which we're gonna call a wall. And it looks like it's 2 feet tall to me. We'll check other details, but roughly, I believe this is gonna be all 8-inch wide, 8-inch thick, 2 foot tall wall. And my takeoff's starting to be kind of busy. You know, I've got quite a few items taken off, so I'm gonna go through, open up my layers window, view, layers, and I'm gonna turn everything off. Keep it the blue ones on. I'm gonna turn everything else off. There, easy to see. Alright, so I need to take off the linear footage is really all I'm gonna take off of this wall. And you can kind of see where it is right here between these 2 lines. That's the wall. So we'll create a new linear condition. And I'm gonna call this wall. And we call wall 2 foot. Just in case I have some different heights. I don't think I actually do. And I'm gonna take off anywhere where that wall shows up. There. Okay, not quite sure if it is here, so I'm gonna go to 1 on 303 and make sure I still have a 2 foot wall. So, 1 on 303. Nope, lost, nope, there it is. There's my 2 foot wall right there. And it's sending me back to my original detail if I have any questions, so good deal, keep it. that's where I started. So I think that's all of it. Could be missing a bit. If y'all see that I'm missing anything, let me know, but I think that's it. I'm gonna check this 10 on 303. Yep, none there. Okay, that's block wall, which is not part of our concrete estimate. All right. I'll put some all over here. Probably should check these. 2 on 303. Yep. This wall's actually shortening. Okay, so we know it's 2 feet from here to here, but then we need to back out this turn down that is integral to your slab, which is probably 6 inches, but might be 8. And it's sending me to 1 on 301 to figure that out. So let's find 1 on 301 and determine the thickness of our turn down. That's not helpful. Let's see if we can find standard detail. And if anybody sees a turn down thickness, you let me know. I'm about to just figure this 6 inches move, 8 inches move on. I'm sure it's buried up in the notes. Okay, so we're gonna say this is, I can scale it just to be accurate, 1 inch to foot. You'd really wanna find a proper call out. I'm not gonna waste y'all's time looking through it. Huh. 1 inch equals a foot, oh. Eight inches. All right, so we have an 8 inch turn down. We know it's 2 foot from here to here, so 8 inches leaves us 1 foot 4. All right, so here we go. So, linear condition, wall, 1 foot 4 inches. And pick up here, come down to here. And if that's fine, we have another section, so we have to do the whole process again and find out what 3 on 303. This is where having 2 screens really helps, or having a printed set of drawings in front of you really helps, but we're working from laptop. So 3 on 303. Okay, it tells me to use the same detail, so good. Going to my next call out, 4 on 303. That's a pedestal, which we've already taken off, so we're good there. Five on 303. Okay, 4 foot minus our 8 inches, so that's 3 foot 4 inches. New condition, linear, wall, 3 foot 4 inches. Let's start here, here. Alright. So I've got y'all started. Let's go ahead and create an estimate for it. So I'm gonna copy the previous one, paste it down here, call it walls. And this is layout, excavation will be 0, formwork, you'll need that, concrete placement. That's it, wood feet. Okay, and then here, create walls. And my first one was a wall 2 foot, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and y'all are gonna be responsible for the rest. As homework. Alright, so my wall 2 foot was 556 linear feet,
66.
566 linear feet. And what are we gonna need here? Quantity, measure, we need height. We already have our length. Actually, for consistency's sake. Forms, concrete, finish. My forms are equal to the length of the wall times the height of the wall. And the height was 2 feet. My concrete is the volume of the wall. So that is this times height. Which will be the width, which was 8 inches, which is 8 divided by 12, gets decimal feet. And finish is the top of the wall, which is the length times the width. So y'all should go through and add in your other wall types, and complete your table. That's it, that's the lecture for today. Y'all are welcome to stick around, ask questions. If you need any help, that's it. Get all this finished before, our next class Wednesday. And then hopefully we're just gonna knock out slab on grade and elevated slab. There's just a bit in this job, and that will be a finished concrete estimate. Also, forewarning, we will not have class Monday of next week. I'm gonna be helping with the capstone class that day, so I will not be here for this class.